Welcome to the York Tech Report, your source for all things tech at York School here in beautiful Monterey, California. My name is Kevin Brookhauser. I'm the Director of Technology here at York. You can subscribe, view, and post comments at yorktechreport.org. Also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/YorkTechReport. As I said, my name is Kevin. We're going to be talking about tech at York, and if you're a York student, teacher, community member, alum, whatever, we're glad to have you here. And here, if you're just interested in technology in general, we're glad to have you as well.
Okay, so hi, I'm Kevin Barnard. I'm the Student Tech Officer at York.
And I'm Ryan Meckel. I'm the other Student Tech Officer at York.
Awesome. So we're going to start these programs by just talking about some interesting new things that are going on around campus and in technology in general. You guys want to start us off?
All right, yeah, so first off, we have robotics. The robotics team, York has a robotics team, and we've been working for the past, I think, 3 weeks or 4 weeks on the first robotics competition, which is a competition that takes place worldwide and is meant for high school teams. Kevin, you want to explain the challenge for this year?
Sure. So the challenge this year is to have a robot in an arena with four other robots on your team against an opposing team. So you have to pick up a boulder, which is just a small little ball, and pass the enemy defenses and fire it into the enemy tower in order to score points. So this year we are working on a robot with a launching system and that is very low profile, so that I can go under the small defenses and infiltrate the defense. So so right now we are in the process of constructing the chassis, and we have built the basic chassis, and we are making the wheels, and we already have a test board set up into the robot right now.
I gotta say, I've been watching you guys build this robot. I checked out the video that describes the challenge. It looks like an incredible amount of fun, and you guys are doing some really amazing technical work. Thanks to Dr. Hannah for really being the lead advisor, and Mr. Smith is helping you out as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys got a ton of support from Mr. Raymond as well, our academic dean.
Mm-hmm.
I know the posting group, yeah. So.
Who's the student leader of the group? Is that Soraya?
Yes,
yeah.
Soraya.
Yeah. And if people are just interested, can they come down to the design shop and just get a sense of what the work that you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
right now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you want to come down, we're there from 4:30 to 7 every day. So if you want to come down, we'll be happy to explain what we're doing to you and show you around.
Awesome. And can people? What if someone wants to join the robotics club next year? How does that work?
Yeah, so just talk to the either Dr. Hannah. I think he'll be working on it with us next year as well, or whoever the president is
Right.
for the robotics team. Yeah.
Cool. I wanted to talk about this letter that Tim Cook posted on the Apple website surrounding there's an iPhone controversy. So following the San Bernardino terrorist attacks, the shootings that happened a couple months ago, they found the iPhone of one of the individuals who was involved, but they can't get into it because those phones are totally encrypted. And the FBI and law enforcement are now using this as an opportunity to try to get Apple to create what people call a backdoor into iPhone, so that if there is a crime, that law enforcement can access that data that is secure and encrypted and behind a password. Have any of you followed this story?
I followed it a little bit in passing, but I haven't read too much about it. I do know that, well, I mean, obviously it was a big enough issue that Tim Cook did write a letter, and it's up on their site right now.
Yeah, I would encourage people to read it. I definitely sympathize with law enforcement, that they're trying to do their job and they're trying to catch these really bad people. But I definitely lean towards the tech industry on the argument, and have to say that if we start a precedent of these tech companies allowing law enforcement to access encrypted devices, The problem is you create a vulnerability there that real criminals could come in and access, and the hackers can come in and break into those devices as well, and it creates a major security vulnerability, and I think a greater vulnerability than what we've seen, the kind of the shootings and terrorists that are out there. I think we'd open us up to bigger security threats.
And I do think if the key were made available, like you said, hackers could get in, and people that you don't necessarily want to, besides the government, could get in. And even though the government may argue that its use might be limited just to this case, you can't guarantee that they're going to do that. And I think that's really the biggest point in this entire debate in this issue, because
Right.
there's no guarantee that unauthorized parties are going to go in and look at the phone, or the cops are just going to go look in and look at random people's phones that they don't really need to look at, or they
Yeah.
aren't allowed to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know also right now a lot of companies are also installing, mostly Android companies, are installing backdoors on their phones
Yeah.
just for that reason. And they've
Right.
been doing it for a while. I think Samsung has it, Motorola, I'm not sure. But yeah, a lot of big companies are already doing that.
Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of scary. We don't, I kind of think of it like I don't know if if you put a lock on your suitcase, it has to be a TSA compliant lock for it to go through the airplane,
Right.
go through airport security. And that's so the TSA can open it up and make sure that there's nothing terrible in the suitcase, which totally makes sense to me. And it's kind of like doing that as well, giving law enforcement access to data, which they would only use if they had a warrant and if they had legal authority to do so. But just the fact that it is a key, I think, sets up a vulnerability. Anyway, let's move on to more things York related. Oh, you guys, let's talk about the class points in the haiku.
Sure. So right now the class points on Haiku are set up on the very login page, so you can immediately access them if you need it. But we were thinking about moving them past the login page so that it's a little bit more out of the way, and you can log in, and then immediately after that you will see the class points in its own little box at the bottom.
Perfect. Keep an eye out for that. All right, so let's go on to our main topic. We wanted to talk today about choosing the D in your BYOD. So we at school have a bring your own device policy at York. You guys want to outline the possible options that are available to people who want to get a new or upgrade or their device?
Yeah, so the basic options for a new device would be Mac, Windows, a Chromebook, and within those a tablet or a smartphone, and then also there's Linux, which is a whole different beast than PC and Mac.
Right. And do you guys have any thoughts on what you think is, or what you should think about when choosing among those different options?
Do you want us to go through these one at a time and see
Sure.
which is which? So let's start with Mac. So I think that's probably the most well-known product. I mean, it's the most probably. I think more Macs are at York than there are anything else, and that's just because they're well-known, and they're well-known for a reason. Their products are all consistent. They're all very good, and they all work with everything that they need to work with at York.
Yep. So I'm a Mac user. I know Kevin, you use a PC, right?
Yes.
And Ryan, are you on a Mac?
I'm on an old Mac, yeah.
You're on an older Mac. And I gotta say, I love Macintosh computers. My first computer was an Apple IIe. I love Apple. I think they make great products. And if you choose that one, I don't think you're gonna go wrong. The one thing is that they're really expensive, and I want to make sure that everyone knows in our community that you certainly don't need to spend that much money on your device. It's hard to get a Mac for less than $1,000, and you certainly don't need it. There are a lot of other possibilities out there that would serve all of your needs at York School. But they're nice, and they definitely are popular.
Yeah, sure.
What's
All right.
And then,
So next option would be Windows computer. So a PC. So I've seen a lot of PCs as well as Macs at York, and for all intents and purposes, I think they work just as well um, at I don't know, taking notes, writing papers, any of that. Um, of course, there are more Macs at York, and it seems more integrated with the Mac, but I think a PC works just as well.
and they're definitely cheaper than Macs.
Yeah, that too.
But the thing that comes with that, I think, is also that I mean, just Google Windows laptop, and you're going to come up with like 5,000 different results. And then if you go to the Apple site, you have they have the MacBook Air, the MacBook, and the MacBook Pro. So, and they're all I think the main difference is really just consistency of product and price, obviously.
Yeah, and if you want to get let's see, hold on one second. I got booted off for a second. You guys hear me okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The Windows certainly make great computers, and you can get such a wide variety. You can get a very inexpensive Windows computer, and then you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on super powerful gaming machines. One thing that I found, though, is that if you get a PC that's too inexpensive, you'll find that it comes loaded with a lot of bloatware that you might be cautioned against. That's going to slow down your machine, and so the Windows machines that I really love are the ones that Microsoft makes. Those Surfaces are pretty good machines. Let's see. Go ahead.
I'm just saying the Surface sort of brings us into tablets. So
Right. So yeah, there's tablets, and when we first implemented the BYOD program, one of the questions was, well, iPads are really popular. Do those qualify as the primary device that we ask all students to bring? As far as the iPad goes, I would say probably not the best choice for your primary device, because you're going to be writing a lot of papers, and tablets just don't seem to be designed as well as a dedicated laptop for doing the extensive kind of writing work that you do. What do you guys think about tablets on campus?
Right. So I absolutely agree. It is very, very hard to get even near the productivity that you can get on a laptop as on a tablet. I do definitely suggest I suggest the laptop over a tablet, with the exception that there is a keyboard, right? So the on-screen keyboard for a tablet is very slow, and it blocks a lot of the screen, which makes it much harder to get the work done that you need to do. But if you have that additional keyboard, I think it really helps, and it does make it feasible. Like, I know the iPad has, on the App Store you have the Google Drive app. There's also a Haiku app for Apple devices, and I know that works very well. But again, I do suggest a laptop over a tablet, mainly because one, I don't know, I think it's more integrated with all of the systems that we need to use, like for Haiku, taking all the quizzes and the tests or any assessments online. All of the programmers over at Haiku, they make those programs to run on Windows or Mac, really, and they're not so focused on how it's going to work on a tablet or on the app, right?
Right.
So I think that's a big factor as well, integration.
Yeah, and I can't. The thing is, I'm a big user of keyboard shortcuts, and I move quickly using those keyboard shortcuts, and even with a tablet keyboard, I can't work as fast as I can on a regular computer. And so tablets are not, we don't recommend, and we really don't want students to have tablets be the main device. Let's talk about Chromebooks. Have you guys used Chromebooks before?
I haven't owned one, but I've seen people using them.
Yeah. I gotta say that I think the best choice for a lot of people at York would be a Chromebook. It wouldn't be for everybody, but I want to go through my pitch for why Chromebooks are such good devices. The first thing to talk about is the speed of Chromebooks, how quickly they boot up. You can go from 0 to running connected to the internet in about 7 seconds, whereas my Mac takes quite a bit longer, and PCs, depending on the setup, can take even longer than that. And that time is important to me. The other thing is they're completely immune to viruses and malware. Because the operating system is simply a browser, it's just one thing that you don't have to worry about. Now, you can put extensions on a Chromebook, as you can on any Chrome web browser, and those extensions can have malicious effect, but if you have a Chromebook, you can easily wipe them and power wash your Chromebook in no time. The other thing I like about them is that they have really good battery life, and they're just easy to use. So I would say for a lot of students. Now, the other thing is that they're really cost effective. You can get a good Chromebook for under $300. The one that I really love is the Asus Flip, and that's the one I'm recommending as the top choice because it can also be a touchscreen tablet. You can flip it all the way around. It's a really great piece of hardware, and for $280 you can get one with 4 gigs of RAM, which is what I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend going under 4. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Chromebooks are a great solution for all of those needs. And yeah, I was going to bring up the price point. I mean, they are very, very cost effective. I mean, they're cheap and they got great power and all around good.
For parents, like the culture at the school, I don't think there's any stigma for having a Chromebook or anything like that. Nobody cares about that stuff. Yeah. But and I've seen a lot of kids function very well with their Chromebooks. What can't you do with a Chromebook?
So I'd say heavy-duty gaming.
Yeah.
Of course, you really need a specialized computer if you really want to go into that. But for practically speaking, all of the school functions you need to do, you can do on a Chromebook.
Yeah, if you're someone that only uses your computer, just write an essay or just really work on school, I mean, you're not going to need anything more than a Chromebook.
Yeah, and even coding anymore. I was going to say that if you want to get serious into coding, and that may still be the case, if you really want to get very serious into coding, that you're going to need either a PC or a Linux machine or a Mac. And then the other one is if you really want to get into graphic design, so using the Adobe Creative Suite. Now, Adobe does now have Photoshop for a Chromebook. It's a web-based Photoshop. But if you want to get into Illustrator and InDesign, then you'll still need a Mac or a PC for that. And then the final option, which I'm actually a big fan of, is Linux. And so this is for the geeks if you're interested in taking a machine and installing Linux, which is an open source operating system. The reason I love it so much is that if you get Ubuntu, and particularly a education version of Ubuntu, which is a version of Linux that's freely available, it's called UberMix, and we installed. You guys remember those old netbooks that we used to have?
Yeah, I think so.
We installed UberMix on those and kept those things running way beyond their lifespan. Because Ubuntu and UberMix, they're such lightweight operating systems that you can really breathe new life into an old machine. So if you have a dying old PC and you want to speed it up, I love the idea of wiping Windows off it and installing Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts on Linux? Or anything else?
I mean, yeah, if you don't want to buy a completely new device and you have an old laptop laying around, I think Linux is a great option.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only issue would be the compatibility with other programs.
Mm-hmm.
I know, yeah. So vast majority of programs out there are built for Mac and PC. So Linux isn't going to have all of that access, right? Um, that being said, most of the very big programs, like big web browsers like Chrome or something, which you need to use to access Haiku or Google Drive, they all
Firefox.
have, yeah, sure. They all have compatibility for Linux. So that isn't really an issue in terms of schoolwork, but when you are trying to go deeper into, I don't know, certain, if you're trying to get a game or something, that's not really going to always be compatible. So keep
But
that in mind.
can you run Steam on a Linux?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have
Yeah.
Linux.
Yeah, so even if you're using Steam as your gaming platform, that would still work.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, next we want to talk about how you all can get involved, listeners. We have an email account. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments and questions, and send those to techreport@york.org. That is techreport@york.org. We'd love to get your questions and answer them here on the air, and also air out your comments and concerns. And so techreport@york.org. All right, let's wrap this up with our quick tips. And we're just going to give you really quick ways to use technology. So, Ryan, what do you got?
Not a tip about technology as much as it is just specifically to this episode, I guess. If you're looking for one, I think probably the best thing to do is to ask your friends. They have laptops. They've used their laptops for, I'm assuming, quite a while, so they know what they like, and they probably know a bit about what you'd like and what you need. So they're going to have the best reviews for you. They're going to probably have the best input for what you're searching for.
Good call.
All right. So my tip is to use this note-taking software called Evernote. It allows you to separate all of your different classes into different notebooks so that you can keep each set of notes separate. And I love it very much. It's available on every operating system, and it's helped me get through the last 4 years here. So.
And so it is your primary spiral notebook.
Yes, absolutely. It's all of my spiral notebooks, all in one.
That's really
I get it from my phone, my laptop, and any tablet. I mean, it works great.
So when you're studying for a test, you've got Evernote out.
Yep, absolutely.
That's cool. All right, Evernote. Yeah, it's a great tool. I know a lot of people who use it. For me, is really simple. As I said earlier, I'm a huge fan of keyboard shortcuts. It allows me to use my computer more quickly and more efficiently. And the one that I learned relatively recently and started adopting into my usage is the keyboard shortcut for inserting a link into a document or into a lot of different tools that you would be using. So if you're typing in a doc and you want to insert a link, hit Command K or Control K on a PC or a Chromebook. All right, guys, that's it. We wrapped up the first York Tech Report. Thank you both. And let's see. If you want to find us at yorktechreport.org or on Facebook, facebook.com/yorktechreport. And next week, we are going to be talking about creating secure passwords, so you're not going to want to miss that. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.